Let's graphically estimate the domain of a function. So reminder, a function is a map that sends a domain to a range. Right, we've got some set D for domain, and we're going to send elements inside the domain to the range. So maybe these are X values, so they get mapped to Y values underneath some function F. So when I think about the domain of a function, I think what kind of X values, so what kind of horizontal values get mapped up or mapped down to a Y value. So if I look at this graph right here, I see that the X value of -9 gets mapped up to maybe the Y value of 7.5, something like that. But either way, the graph exists there. So the function takes the input of -9 and sends it to a Y value. In fact, I'm going to assume that that goes infinitely in that direction. So all of these X values gets mapped to these Y values. So all of these X values are inside your domain. Although once we hit -2, I see open circles right there. So -2 goes nowhere underneath the function. Right? The function doesn't exist when X is equal to -2. So we're going to keep doing this. Let's write down our domain as we go. -infinity up to -2. Right? All of these X values get mapped somewhere. -2 does not, so we have an open circle. But then immediately after -2, those X values get mapped down to that line. So I'm going to union -2. And then all of these X values get mapped until, what X value is this? That's the X value of 4. Right, 4 does not get sent anywhere underneath this function. The function does not exist at the X value of 4. Right, 3.9 gets mapped up to this value, and 4.1 gets mapped down to this value, but 4 does not exist. And let's see. The function then exists over all of these X values greater than 4. Again, I'm going to assume that it extends indefinitely in that direction. So that would be the domain of this function. It's the X values that the function lives on top of. Let's work on the range now. So the range of a function is the outputs. And when we graph functions, the outputs are given to us on the y-axis. Right, the range, what kind of y values does your function give you? So if I assume that this graph extends indefinitely downward, then all of these y values get hit by some x value, right? For instance, the y value of -8 gets hit by maybe the x value of 4.1. But all of these y values get hit. That y value right there, though, at this dashed line, does not get hit by any real number. Ooh, there's a bad infinity sign. So -infinity up to -2, because the y value of -2 doesn't have an x value that gets sent to it. So we skip over -2, but then immediately after -2, the graph lives on top of these y values. Oops, I forgot my union sign. Union -2, and then it goes all the way up.